Good morning, my name is JSong. Everything in today's video is never financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. Everything's just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I ate red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risks. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. Past performance is never indicative of future performance. Let's jump into our cryptocurrencies. This is an important area that we've been looking at for over, I think, 2 weeks now. 4.45. We were almost there just a few days ago, and I said, I think it was right here on the May 9th, I said, watch us to hit this number, 4.45. I said, I'm going to be looking more at the high side of this number because of all the supports in this area and the overlapping supports. So most of these overlapping supports are all here, and then here's our target. And you can see our target was hit so far only just once on the conservative side, right here on the day of, let's see, what day was this? May 13th. And it looks like it hit it exactly. You can see that it just right there on the top. Spike, come up, come down. The next day, it's down, sitting on these supports. This is a little bit of a bullish area. However, some of the first signs of some of that weakness will not be revealed on the daily chart. As we can see, it's messy. We got this line here, which is acting like one of our supports. It is not being respected on the smaller time frame charts. Now we know that in our art, the higher time frames the higher time frame structures will often take more precedence. But you can see that the only structure here on the daily chart is just a flat. Okay, it's just a flat. So on one side, we see that there's a flat, so there's no white line that exists. But if you turn on the weekly chart, and that's why I wrote the word weekly, you can see that the line indeed does exist. So this means, and what this interprets is that we still have support still at 3.81 to 3.76 area, but we also need to be realistic and understand that there may be some weaknesses that are entering the markets over the next few weeks if things continue to be messy. So we'll see that play out, that messiness, and we're going to need to pay attention to how that messiness is going to look. So let me make sure that you have a chance to take a good screenshot. This is the two time frames I'm going to be watching. The weekly chart, if we get some closes on here next week and the week of May 19th, I'm going to be looking for things to be a little bit messy. And the other reasons we're going to be looking for it to be messy, and what I mean by messy is back and forth, is because those supports are still going to be in play. So even though this would technically be a bearish area, because of all the supports that are here, we're going to be looking to bounce around. And what we can do to denote that is I can put a weakness bar, but I can also give it a yellow border. Now when I give this a yellow border, what I'm reminding myself in our art is that this is a delay territory. Okay, a delayed territory is a territory that kind of wastes your time, and it gets a lot of nowhere. It's a lot of back and forth, but you're not really making progress one way or the other. Now, if we get a rejection in this area, let's pull these back. Those targets were all hit, so I'm going to fade these away real quick. If we reject in this area, coming back up, that would be a negative thing for cryptos. As it is, it looks like we're finding that pressure by spiking these areas, but still finding support along this line on the high time frame, which means we can still be messy over the next few weeks, but also come back and properly move up higher. And maybe that's going to be the seasons when we start hitting the sevens. This is going to be the sevens in the future, possibly. Also on the weekly chart, I'm starting to see this kind of, let me move to a 2-day chart. On the 2-day chart, I can also see this kind of curve shape going on. So I drew it. So that means that if I go up, I'm going to be looking at some resistances down here over the next few weeks, and that's going to be about 5.3%. And so that means that the markets may turn against us and become bearish as this moves up. Now, just remember, if you're new to this chart, is super important. When this chart moves up, your cryptos move down. When this chart moves down, your cryptos move up. So if this has a chance to come back up, we're going to be looking for some of the cryptos to come off their highs, and then we're going to be looking for something like this to come into play. This is going to be a little bit of a reject. This move from here to here would be, you would see some of the profits that the markets have made from the moves of the original weaknesses here and coming down. We're going to be seeing that this is going to reverse, and so you're going to see some of those profits get wiped off the board. So this might be a chance where some of you want to take some profits in the markets for some of the bullishness that we've been in as this has came down. We had plenty of time to get into some bullish position trade, so nobody has any, oh, we missed it, it came out of nowhere. Not really. We had weakness here, we had the weakness here, and we were playing there, and then we cleared those territories very quickly. So anybody who's following our USDT.D chart, none of this should surprise you at all. So right now we are, as it is, at one of those reversal areas. So what I'm going to be looking for is the market to do something like this. I'll go ahead and draw it for you so you can see what we're more likely going to expect. We're going to take some of these supports, and it's going to reverse us and reject us back here with a higher probability. And this is where we're going to be looking for this to reject, and we're going to look to come back down into these areas, and this could be represented by some messiness. So two ways that can happen. We can either get some messiness and spike up to those areas, or we can just come up here right now, and then based on these 3 points that are outside the board here and here, they form the parabolic curve that we use so much in our art. That is something we use to a great success. So this is where we're going to be looking most likely to see some of that rejection. It's going to be a move up. That's going to mean this is going to be, we're going to see take profits, okay? And that doesn't mean like you take somebody prophetic, okay? That just means I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is going to be something that I'm looking for. This is not financial investment or trading advice, but this is where I'm going to be probably looking to take some profit. Now, the other reason I probably do want to take profits as well is because even if I don't, and this is a messy area, and I see prices spiking at these areas, which it may, and it may end up building some round action to either come up or come through to this side properly. The reason is on the daily chart, this indicates this is a messy or delay territory. So I'm going to put the word delay / messy. Okay, let me make this a little bit smaller so you can see. Delay, messy territory. Okay, so when we're getting into delay top territory, we are talking about cryptos, a region where price moves a lot of back and forth. And when I put delay, I often give it that yellow border. So we're going to put these words also yellow. Okay, so you can see that. And how that looks, a lot of up and down. This is the symbol for delay. And we know the territory, it's coming up. So if we're allowed to stay bullish, and we stay bullish for the next few weeks, or the next few, what is this, a daily? Yeah. So for the next week or so, if we start staying bullish, most likely USDT.D is going to be priming itself in this carry, or building itself in here. And that means you're going to get some closes in these areas, right? Those closes are going to give us these roofs. So therefore, you're going to see this move back and forth. So either way, if we see bullishness continue, but we're really not making any headway, that means that the prices of current cryptos that are at their resistance stay at those resistance. They get stuck at those resistance. I'm not even gonna have to look at this chart. By the way, there are times when I don't have to look at the crypto market. There's so many times we don't have to look at the crypto market. We just need to look at this chart. And there are times that I'm getting notification on my phone about the crypto market that I don't have to even look at USDT.D. In fact, I haven't looked at it all weekend. I was with my mom celebrating the holiday, and I was not looking at this chart at all. But I already knew we had hit it. I was like, yeah, we must have hit it because I'm getting all these notifications for certain cryptos hitting their targets. So when they hit their targets, I'm like, yeah, USDT.D had to have its move. And over the week, we didn't have to look at it. Although we did look at it, we knew exactly what was happening. Once we're in those prime areas, it just plays out for that territory. If those are the odds in our favor, most likely that's the most scenario that's going to happen. So it's getting all these cryptos at these targets, this is letting us know, hey, this is where it's supposed to happen. So if I get a little bit more bullish, but not much more bullish action, I already know what's happening. I'm entering this underside of this white line on that weekly chart, and this is only for the weekly. The words cut off here, but I'm just going to remind you by putting here weekly chart. So you can only see this white line if you draw on the weekly chart, but the daily chart, there's no white line. You won't be able to draw it, okay? So that means that this is a delay coming up unless we reject now. Most likely we're going to reject now and get messy later. But if we get messy later and crypto's not going back, we don't see any retracements, we don't see XRP losing its top, we don't see Bitcoin moving much far away from 105 to 107,000 or something. By the way, if we hit 107,000, we're going to be on the lower side of this 4.5, the area, what was it? 4.3 area. Here's 4.32 area. You will see price only there. That doesn't really change the scenario. So this is 4.32%. Yeah, that's 4.32%. So I don't expect us to lose so much profits, and I believe you're going to have some time to take some profits if we just don't immediately reject this week. I really believe there's incentive to play down here, and then we're going to need to watch it carefully. Okay, so here's going to be my next prediction about what I see and forecast in the market. If USDT.D does indeed stay in the messy territory and we start forming the resistance on top of these areas here, if we start forming the resistance on top of that area, then what I'm going to be looking for is to come back down and properly hit these targets such as 4.64%. Somewhere in that range is what I would be actually looking for us to do. And that's a possibility that will be on the board, but I don't think we're just going to go right there right now. That's why I think we have time to take profits to see if we're going to either get some better entries again later on or see this change on top in these areas. And that means that we would have a possibility of going up further. It's a possibility. We also have that possibility as right now of rejecting. But these are going to be the decision areas that I believe we're going to have to make decisions. They're going to be up there, closer to right now 5.03, and also it's going to be revealed in the coming weeks, in the coming weeks, somewhere above the white angle, and that's the week on that weekly chart only. So that's going to be what I'm going to use as a big predictor of what's going to be happening again as up here. And then the other one is going to be underneath 4.32. So somewhere underneath 4.32, just like we built solidly under these two targets here. You guys can see these are the two targets. 1 and then 2. We have them on the board for many weeks, so you guys all know where those targets are. If I see price building underneath those rather than building on top, I know I'm going down. And that was the symbols that I drew for you guys. We pointed out we're getting here for few days. We were pointing, hey, we're going to get here. That means you want to be in bullish positions. You want to have some crypto that has a good position to move up. If you have those cryptos that are sitting on top of their supports, cryptos that have targets that are just in the way, look for those targets to be hit. And then right now, again, since we hit our target, you want to be looking for some place to take profit, and then you're going to be watching later on for another entry. Do I have any live questions from our studio audience before we move on to the actual markets? Can you put that over there, please?
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Yep. Okay. So this is the 2-day chart. Okay. Yep. Let me move this. You need me to zoom out more?
Just trying to see if we see anything else. But...
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot to see past these territories. Okay. I think I only wanted to say one more thing. Based on the higher weekly chart, once we hit 4.4 or 4.16 area, and the crypto is down here, I'm going to be looking for us to come to the lower side. The old flat, possibly the 3.8 to 3.76, and even possibly our real main target 3.57. So that's going to be a big call. That means there's going to be some really bullish stuff going on. And since our swing target is just right here from 3.57, I'm actually going to be looking to hit closer to 3.58 to this big range, the 3.15 to 3.3. And then I'm going to play it a little bit by ear because I had a dream we were underneath here. I don't know if that's all going to happen now, so I'm not going to say, yeah, we're coming down here. No, we're still have some chances to actually be on the supporting side and move up. And then from here, we're going to need to watch what's happening at 5.3. So I really want to play this by the ear before I'm super bullish cryptos. When this comes down, I'm going to be bullish cryptos. But I want to make sure have more things in alignment before I start making calls. Because if I'm messy here, and I'm bouncing around in this delay territory on the higher time frames, as long as those closes are still above that white line, most likely we're going to still be moving up, okay? And that means that the markets will get bearish. So I don't want to be super bearish those cryptos right now until the game progresses. I also don't want to be super bullish until we're in that bullish territory. Right now we're at the resistances. We're at decision time. So this is not the time to be bullish or continue to be bullish. Right now is the time to take the profit from our previous bullish segment. And then if I'm going to be bearish, I might as well be bearish here at 5.32 or be bearish once I'm underneath that delay territory on the underside of some of these targets. At least I have some more, some more confidence that I'm going to be going lower. So right now, it's like buying at the top of a market. If I'm buying right now, I'm setting myself up for a little bit of risky behavior. I'd rather be here so I can take the trades from here to here, or even to here to the low. That might be something worth taking. I'm going to let somebody else assume the risk while it crosses over, because either way the market's going to move. But it's either going to move from here under these areas, okay, as I demonstrated in this video, underneath those two targets earlier, as we talked about earlier, or it's going to move back up when we come up to the 5.5 areas again. So either way, these are not good prices for entry. They're good prices for taking profits and letting someone else take the risk and let them get shaken out. Let the market show that they're going to need to, if you see retracements happen, you're going to know that this is coming back. If you see retracements happening in all your crypto prices. So you're like, yeah, cryptos are at good prices. But if they come back, you already know this pulled back. And if this pulls back, I at least want to get in at these prices, so I got another chance of taking advantage of the parabolic curve that is forming in this area. We know that's going to be a top, so we can start looking to come here, and if it breaks above and we change positions, then praise God, at least we're going to have more confidence that we now are going to be bearish cryptos. But right now, we want to just only watch for the next move to happen, because as I demonstrated today, it's either delay territory, which is this bearishness, or longer term bearishness as this moves up. Okay, it's a little bit of messy. It's going to be a messy territory over the next few weeks, or it's going to be bearish. One of those two options for just a short time. And either way, if we're going to be bullish, we need to get these prices or we need to get these prices, but not taking these prices here, because this is when this is when you can get shaken out. This is when you're going to see the lemmings chasing the markets. Oh yeah, it's time now. And they're going to jump on board, but this needs to be clear. And right now, the evidence is not clear. At least that's how I feel about this situation in these markets. I want it to be shown for what it is. Okay. Any other questions regarding how I feel about the markets right now? My take and my technical opinion. Going once. Going twice.
If we look at a smaller time frame, you think we can get a better idea if it's past that watch line?
No, absolutely not. And the reason is because we're already, as I mentioned earlier, we're messy on the daily chart. So this watch line doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist it only exists on the weekly chart. And if it's not being respected by the daily chart, it's not even going to matter. It's going to matter even less on a smaller time frame. So if you were drawing that and I said, hey, draw this, you wouldn't have drawn that angle at all, and nor should you. The only lines you should draw are the flats, right? But we're not safe out of the blue with the flats. But when you do look at the weekly chart, then the line comes back. And you're saying, the weekly lines are powerful. Yes. But that means we have to wait even longer, not shorter. So we need to think closely about the matter. We need to think more broadly about the matter if we're using this particular watch line. Not zooming in even more, because then we're going to see things that are not there. at the very least, it's going to be messy for us because the line is not being respected on that higher time frame. So if it does come down, it's going to be a very messy thing, and that's another indication that things are going to get delayed. So that's why we have that border there. And I don't want you guys to get in trouble by zooming down when you should be actually zooming out. So that's a little bit of the protocol for that. If the line doesn't exist on the smaller time frames, use only the time frame where that line exists for that line. Not saying you shouldn't use smaller time frames for things, but use the smaller time frame for that line to exist when you're using that line for its intended purpose. Otherwise, don't use it at all. It'd be better for you to just only see the flats or only see other things you can see for that time frame. But for me, since I can see a lot of the time frames at once, just knowing how they're going to interact with each other, my opinion is it's going to be messy, and it's going to be more of a delay indication. Okay, any other questions regarding this particular chart? Okay, this is going to be a very important update. Okay, very important for you. Okay, now my prediction, I haven't looked at a chart since this weekend, okay, or since I left. I didn't pull up any charts. My prediction is that most of the cryptos, if we come to a crypto that we've talked about before, it's going to be a place of, they're going to be at resistances. A lot of the cryptos we were looking were almost at their targets. People said, do I take profit now? I said, no. In my opinion, I wouldn't. I would wait a little bit longer till they hit their targets or they hit the resistances because of USDT.D situation. Now USDT.D cleared the full territory, that length that we're looking for from here to here after the weaknesses. So now we need to be looking at some of these cryptos to now match their resistances. So if I'm pulling up lots of cryptos today, not Znog, that's a stock. But if I look at random cryptos from your request and I see those cryptos at the resistances, I'm going to be comparing them with this image. So that's just how I know it's probably going to be a more wiser for me to take that profit. Now you say it could break out. You're right, it could. But based on what we're seeing in the territory, most likely we're not. At least not yet. And if that's the case, or if you believe that, and that's what I believe, okay? I believe we're not just coming down here to 4.4. I think we're going to take a break. I think it's going to pull back, and then maybe we have another chance at the 4 point something, the 4.04, 4.06, at the very least. That's barring these supports here, the targets, target 1, and then another target based on another analysis in the same area. All of these targets are telling us we're going to be reversing direction. That lets me know if the cryptos we're looking at are at resistances, I need to take profit. Okay, so that's how I'm going to be trading this. I'm going to be looking specifically to take profit. And that's why I wrote this in. I'm taking profit here. Okay, so we need to pull back on some of the cryptos. Look to bank some cash, look for this to pull back, and then get back in, or watch for zoom in. We can zoom in once we get back to that territory and see, are we really rejecting here across on the weekly chart or on the daily charts? Some kind of structure indicating that I'm going to reverse here. Then I have a better chance to position myself to hit the target again, maybe properly, maybe on the low side, the 4.32 side, something like that, or even the lower 4.16 or 4.4. So there'll be some money to be made, a little bit of money, maybe not as much as the previous run when we had chances to enter here in these areas. But that's going to let me know what we're going to do. So that's the game plan that I have for myself. Again, this is never financial investment or trading advice of any kind, but this chart has served me well. All right, we ready? Any other questions regarding the game plan? Okay. If you're new to our community or you're watching this clip online, you need to understand that on our website, you can type in the word lessons and it's going to take you to our lessons page. We have lessons 1 through 17, plus we also have many bonuses from the upcoming sword method 7.0, such as key angle reverberations lessons, and some of the lessons where we teach you how to do our art of creating price maps on charts to help make navigating the crypto market so much more easier, because we use a territory-based method to see what territory price is entering in. Are we entering support, resistance, or resistance resistance areas? Are we looking at prices being primed, being pulled back into some of these areas where I call vortexes, which are like little black holes where price often gets sucked in so many times and just sits there and usually is getting ready to get shot out the opposite direction. And we see that so many times. And so that the lessons page, I hope it helps you if you guys are Dive tier members. $18 for the full month on our website right here, patreon.com/jsong.com/jsong_7. Come to our website if you're watching this clip online, and we're going to be looking at lots of crypto. So if you want a price map of what's happening with some of your favorite cryptos on our website, you can just type in the BTC, ATH, STG, whatever crypto you're looking in, and most likely I have a map there. Otherwise, you can put a live request and I'll do it on my next session. We have 3 crypto sessions a week, Mondays and Saturdays 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Wednesdays at 6 a.m., which we generally focus more on tutorials. All right, where we're going next, I'm excited about it, so hope that serves you well. I'll be right back to answer any closing questions.